Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Live Your SPAlife show. SPAlife is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. The SPA in SPAlife, the SPA, is for seek power always. That power within you to live the life how you want to live it. Oh, I'm so thrilled to have our special guest today, Amy Cheryl. She is the founder and creatrix of Women's Worth Academy. I mean, does that just sound like something you want to go to? I mean, I just love the title of that. She is a modern day medicine woman providing the transformational sacred space and skill set for all women to embody who they truly are. Feminine powerhouses. I love this. This is what we're rolling into here. Really to just fully own their intuition, eradicating their self-doubt, and thing I love the most, confidence, clarity, and calmness with pleasure, joy, and magic. I mean, oh, this sounds so yummy, all of it. Amy, thank you so much, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a joy and an honor. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
It's wonderful to be in this juicy conversation with you. And I love the part about you really are a stand for women to just live unapologetically. And I'd love for you to share about how you just really stood in this realm to really take this stand for women and about claiming their power.
Absolutely. And thank you for asking me. It's such a, it truly is a soul mission. I have found that, look, I wasn't always in my power, right? We need to have been on the other side in order to guide other women into it. So I know what it's like to be disempowered and even to think that we're in our power, but we're not. Yeah. And, what I have found is that we've been raised in a society that honors history and has forgotten her story. And as a result, we as women live in a society where we are unconsciously devaluing ourselves without even realizing it. We apologize unnecessarily. We feel uncomfortable saying no. There's a tendency to people please. I mean, I can go on, seeking value outside of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And what I stand for is to eradicate that. Because the truth is that what will heal humanity and what will bring us back into our power as women is us doing the inner work, is us taking the stand for ourselves, and us saying, you know what, I need to heal this for myself and remember that I'm worthy not based on what I do or say, yet who I am in my beingness as a woman, because I'm a woman and I'm sacred. I carry the magic inside me. I carry the power inside me, and I have the capability and the power to heal and to move mountains when I own it and utilize it rightfully so. So, yeah, deep.
I love the groundedness that you come from this. This is such a powerful conversation to have. And it's not one where it's just like, it can feel at first blush that it's something of the ethers, right? And that comes into play. But it is definitely a grounding and a being of who you are. And I love the fact about, you are consciously creating this. This is not something that's just happening just by chance. And I know that there's certain things that you do in your life that you consciously create your life. And I'd love to hear more about that and how you're standing in that and what's that look like and how that's creating in your life.
Absolutely. And again, great question. And, I would say the biggest thing that I'd like to share in the moment, and you're so on it because it's true. This can seem like it's very etheric or airy-fairy, and we ground it into our body as women. We are the magical realms. We are the goddess incarnated in this physical being. And so the biggest thing that I would say that I do for myself, and that I encourage women to begin to do if they're not doing, because practice makes permanence. Yeah.
Let that land.
Is to land yourself within your beingness by creating and cultivating sacred solitude and space before you engage with anything or anyone else. And that can be challenging. We could say, no, I need to, log on Facebook and, or check my emails, or I need to, get get the lunch ready for the kids or whatever it may be. And the thing is, if we don't ground down and we pop up and we're running and we're frazzled, we're doing all these things, we're not bringing all our power back, bringing all our energy back. How can we expect to have clarity in our day and feel calm and be able to make intuitive decisions that guide us rightfully so, and us to trust that, if we're not creating and cultivating that sacred space for ourselves every morning and grounding ourselves, grounding our mental mind from the to-do list, knowing that we are valuable and worthy, that we can give ourselves 10 minutes in the morning, right? I mean,
right.
We're worth that.
Yeah.
So we can be more for others.
Right. Well, and this is such a powerful stand for women in being, because, sometimes we think, and I don't know if you've seen this with women, it's like all or nothing, right? Unless I give myself 5 hours to do all of these things, or I'm not going to do it at all. And I love that you present just 10 minutes, right? It doesn't take a lot of time to take some deep breaths, to really honor yourself and your processes that allow you to really step into the day in a much more powerful way. And I think this is, in a time where, everybody else's concerns can override us, to really claim that is such a sacred aspect of who we are, and claiming as women in particular.
Yes, it brings us back to our true home. Our true nature as women is about ritual. And coming back into our gut and our intuitive wisdom. And our society, I love the quote by Albert Einstein. It's one of my favorite quotes. And he has stated that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. And the rational mind, the thinking mind, is its faithful servant, right? And we've created a society that honors the servant, the thinking mind, right, and has forgotten the gift.
I love that came from a scientific perspective, right?
Yes. Well, there's scientific proof. I mean, there's actual, and that's kind of a problem, yet, our mental mind and our egoic mind needs the scientific proof. Yet the truth is that a woman, we are bigger than the rational mind. You can't make sense of how vast we are, to how magical we are, how deep our gut wisdom is. And for the mental mind, for the egoic mind, there is scientific proof that we have brain cells in our guts.
Right.
I mean, this is real. This is real. And the problem that happens is we've been raised in a society that takes us out of our element as women. Our natural element is restoring ourselves, replenishing ourselves throughout the day, being grounded, being clear, listening to what feels right and moving in that direction and never second guessing it.
Right.
And we've been raised in a society that has told us we need to think it through, we need to analyze, we need to ask others of their opinion, which results in us not trusting ourselves, second guessing ourselves, and getting confused. You ever have or hear women have the experience of it just feels right, they can't make sense of it, and then they start second guessing it because you can't explain magic.
Right. Right. I'd love to dive a little bit deper into the second guessing, because that's really been something that I've been talking with my clients about. And it feels like it's in the circles of, especially even women who are in powerful positions. A lot of my clients, they run companies and they've got teams, and, they'll make these decisions. And then when they start second guessing themselves, it not only throws out the energy to the team of like, okay, what direction are we going? But then it just devalues how they're feeling about themselves, and really looking at that. So what are some of the tools, if you will, that women can really start honoring their knowingness, right? There's something about the difference between knowledge and knowingness, and that thing within us. And I know you talk a lot about just focusing on how you feel and moving from that place. And, especially as we're having more connection and communion with males and females, that can feel less grounding to people that don't utilize that as an actual process of moving throughout the day.
Absolutely. And again, we've been trained to move with our thinking mind. So basically, I have a little analogy that I have found has been really helpful for women to help them prevent doubting themselves, or to kind of nip it in the bud, because awareness is the key to transformation.
Yes.
So we need to get embodied, and we need to stop giving our power away to the mind, having it run the show, and begin to be the observer of it, so that we have power over our mind instead of it having power over us. Mm-hmm. And that's when self-doubt creeps in. And it is a way that we devalue ourselves as women, because it's become acceptable. So my little analogy that I have found has been really helpful for women is our inner wisdom, our womb wisdom, our gut intuition, our moving in the direction that feels right, our sacred knowingness, our sacred knowledge. Because a woman is born with all the knowledge inside of her, we don't need to seek out. We just need to keep going deeper within. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I call it, this is your throne. Your throne is in your queen throne, so to speak. You want to sit in your queen throne. Your mental mind is your servant. If you were the queen sitting on your throne and you needed to make an executive decision, a quick, clear decision, would you go to your servant who's here to serve you and execute your decision making? Would you go to the servant? Would a queen go to the servant and say, hey, what do you think about this huge decision that I need to make? Like, that's preposterous, right? Like, it doesn't even make sense, right? Yet that's what we do when we pop off our throne and go up into our mind, up to the servant and say, what do you think of this? Or we allow the servant to second guess our intuitive wisdom. Like, well, are you really sure? It's like the servant saying to the queen, well, queen, are you really sure that that's really the right decision that you're making? Do you want to double think that through? Like, the queen would never have that. The queen would be like, servant, go back to your rightful place. You are here to serve me, and don't be second guessing the queen, right?
Right. Well, and I'd love some distinguishing about, because I absolutely believe the same thing. I mean, one of my classes I do is reset your power, and it's reset because it's already within you. You already have the power. We came here with that. And so if we are going to, trust ourselves and, go within, all the wisdom is within us. How would you say, as far as how would you articulate to other people in terms of when would you consult like a mentor, or when would you who would you actually share that with? If everything's within us, how is it the collaboration process, or how is it that we're utilizing other people in that path?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. The thing is that there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The lineage of womanhood is to work with a woman that has paved the way, that has reawakened, that is reconnected to that which is already always inside of her. The key is to not talk to friends or ask other people's opinions about some process that you're going through when we can't seem to get our center on our own. We're not meant to do it alone as women. The lineage, the way of woman, this goes back to the priestess days, is we work with women that are activated. And when we work with them, it helps to reactivate the seeds that are already in you. So when there's like, so that's the path. We're meant to work with a mentor. Right. I work with currently I work with 2 female mentors. I typically have 1 to 3 female mentors that I work with. And age is not relevant. And it's a feeling, you just know. I remember when I met my mentor, a lot of times we seek a mentor because she's activated within something that we desire to reconnect to within ourselves. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I met my first mentor. Known her almost 20 years. Dear, I just bless her every day. And I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't work with her. And I remember when I met her, I was led to her. And it was just this feeling. And I felt safe for the first time in my life. Even to this day, it's like I'm getting the memory of being in circle with her. And I'll never forget this. And this is a true mentor. And I started crying and giving my power away to her. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was just like, oh my God, like, what would I do without you? Like, you know, and she says, no. She goes, something to the effect of, what you see in me and you feeling safe with me is that desire for you to activate that and feel that within yourself. That was about trusting myself and feeling safe with myself.
Right.
I grew up in a tumultuous household. You know, everything is healed now because I've done the work, and it's amazing what the power we have as women. When we heal, we can heal our entire family and lineage and all our relationship with people. Yet I grew up in a very unsafe household, rageaholic father, coming home every day, terrified to what I was going to come home to. I mean, it was like just horrific. Had nightmares. I mean, it was, I did not grow up in a safe household, and it deeply affected me in many levels, many ways. So I needed to be on that other side to then reclaim my power. And it was that turning point in my 20s when I kind of hit a rock bottom and was dating an ex-con, and I was just like, what the F am I doing here? You know, seriously, I was like an educated woman, and I was like coming off a breakup, and I just was like, kept saying, I'm fine. Yet I was suffering from extreme anxiety. I was utilizing, you know, sex to numb myself. I was doing all these things. And I had this wake up call, because it was like, and this guy had a lot of traits of my father. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like dating my father. Like, what the fuck? And I realized I wasn't fine.
Right.
And then I started my healing path, my healing journey.
Well, how brilliant of your mentor. And I think this is such a sign of a sage leader, of a woman who is really the guidepost, right? To lead you back to that knowing within yourself. And I love just the whole, awakening, right? When you have someone who's been awakened, to show you an aspect that you could be so accomplished in certain areas and be blind in others. And those people do show up to be that lighthouse. And when we are actually being that lighthouse, it's so true about, we sometimes fear that more than anything else, how powerful that can be. And when we actually invite in the women that help ground us in that and be like, it is within you, it is who you are, that can be scary at times, but so amazing when you can turn that key and know that it's here for a greater purpose. And so it's so amazing, the people that we surround ourselves, and the recognition, right? When you and I connected, there's a recognition of what we're here to be with each other and be in the space. And it's so important, especially for women entrepreneurs who tend to isolate themselves by the nature of the business, and to really seek out who are those mentors to you, who are the women that are to be in your space, so that you can be more of you.
And what's coming to mind as you're sharing that, is that we need someone to hold space for us.
Yes.
Especially if we're women entrepreneurs. It's important for us to learn how to run our energy and run our business from our feminine. There's a lot of talk that like business is masculine, and it doesn't have to be.
Yes.
We are not producers as women. We are generators. So we need to fill up that energy, and then we organically are generating. And the piece that I want to bring is that I use the analogy that a surgeon cannot perform heart surgery on himself. He goes to an expert surgeon that he is going to just totally be like, okay, I put my hands in you because I trust that I made the right decision for you to work on me.
Right.
And so we as women, yes, we can learn the tools, and we want to learn the tools, how to process things on our own, how to digest life, all of that. And it's important, especially if we're in that, that sort of energy, that generative energy, or we're holding space for others, for coaches, female entrepreneurs. It is imperative that we have someone that we can lean back into. so that our system can relax, our nervous system can relax, so that we can reconnect deeper into places that we might not be able to access fully on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, so important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which leads me to just talking about the conversations versus conflicting ones, like, you know, really about being loving in our conversations, in terms of how we are connecting with other people. What are some of the distinguishing things that you have between a loving conversation and, you know, conflicting ones?
Absolutely. One of my favorite things, because it has a lot to do with boundaries. And here's the thing. What I always say, my little takeaway, is if there is a trigger or a charge within you, that is not the time to engage in the conversation with another. Because that is where conflict can arise. Whenever there's a charge or a trigger, let's say somebody says something and it rubs us the wrong way, or with our partner, and, you know, we're pissed at them because of something they said to us, it's not the time to lie in cage, be like, "Wah!" You know what I mean? And just like kitty claws, like, no. It's the time to pull back and be, okay, what is here for me? Because I wouldn't be charged or triggered if I didn't have a wound that this person was pressing into.
Yes.
That's the time to seek mentorship, to unfold, and to find where that healing is needed.
Right. Yes.
So then we can get clear, because very often, sometimes we don't even need to have the conversation with the person, yet when we do, we can speak to them. And what I say is get clear on what's going on for you first. Take ownership. You know, and that's the painful part of us, you know, taking ownership of what's going on here for ourselves. And then be able to express in a loving way and always speak in the I. A big thing that can prevent conflict into communication is to avoid saying, well, you did this and you did that and you pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? No.
Yeah.
Stop. Ego. Say, there's something that came up for me, and it would be really important. It mean a lot to me if I shared this with you. When can you provide some time for me? Well, we can have a heart-to-heart about this.
Right. Well, I love the distinguishing about, you know, versus, you know, projecting something onto someone versus actually standing in your power. And I know you've got some 3 key, you know, secrets about that, about really standing and just being in your power. I'd love to share a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So many key secrets. Well, the first one, as we mentioned earlier, so important, that we are always filling our cup. We're doing that. I call it that take 10. Because we need it several times throughout the day. Yeah. And it's easy to spiral out throughout the day. So one of my secrets is that begin to notice your signs. Notice when you start to give your power away or disconnect or lose or leave your body. Often it can show up as being frazzled, confused, overwhelmed, feeling dizzy, anxious. And this is a learning curve for women to begin to learn, what are my signs? And the minute that sign comes up, that's a gateway where I can start to give my power away. So I call it the stop, drop, and roll. Remove yourself, disengage from everything you're doing. Doesn't matter what it is. Give yourself your take 10 to breathe. Run a grounding cord down into Mother Earth. Anything that is no longer serving, no longer needed, just goes down the grounding cord. Call back your energy. Any places where I started to hook into others, I bring my energy back into me. This is real. The energetic realms are real, and when we learn how to utilize them and implement them in the physical realms, that's when we're in our power.
Right.
Which leads into the other secret.
Real quick. So before we go into the
I know, I get all into it.
No, I love this so much. This is so important for, you know, for women to really realize that, as it's spinning out. And I love how you're talking about that these are the signs, right? Like they are actual, you know, the gateways, right? Of knowing, you know, when it's going to happen before it happens. And yes. You know, one of the things that I'm really key to these days is language, right? And the language around when we say that we are are overwhelmed or we're busy or we don't know, right? That's more of what's happening outside of us. And it becomes actually almost like a protectiveness. By saying these things, we actually don't have to step into our light and our knowing. They become other barriers of what's happening. So I love about this noticing what are those signs and what's coming up. And so if we have days that it feels like, you're exhausted and overwhelmed and busy, and that's your daily experience all the time, that is also a sign.
I love that you shared that, because that's where, like, sometimes we can give our power away to labeling, to words, like just saying, like you said, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted. It's like, hey, hang on. Wait a second. What does that feel like in my body?
Right.
And then we can work with it. Yeah. And not have those labels and those words, be like, I'm overwhelmed, so like, I'm just done.
Yeah.
F this,
Oh, absolutely.
If we're getting overwhelmed, we're not in our power because we're not grounding out our energy.
Yeah, definitely.
We don't get overwhelmed when we're in our power.
Right.
We learn how to manage the overwhelm.
Yes. Great
so
distinction.
We don't get to that point.
I love it. All right. What's the second one?
Okay. Yes. So we led into the first one. The second one is acceptance. It's accepting and recognizing and believing and coming home that we are magical. The greatest healing that happens is when a woman is in her beingness. It is where all magic and healing organically happens, because our beingness is that space of possibility and potential. It's about remembering who we are as women, remembering how powerful we are. Goes back to the days when we were a matriarchal society, 25,000 years ago. We as women, we used to, drum and circle, and we were topless. There wasn't any sort of stigma around, we had no shame around our body. And later on in these years, all these things happened with the patriarch of sexualizing and objectifying, and we took this on as women. So the way to come back home to our power as women is to stop dismissing that part of us, that spiritual part of us, that magical part of us, that healer archetype in us is airy-fairy. There's nothing airy-fairy about it, because when we do that, we're dismissing ourselves and saying, I'm airy-fairy, I'm this, I'm that. No. Right. This is real.
I love that claiming and basically putting it back in the body. Come from that place, right? It's not something that happens to you or other people. It's reclaiming what that is for us. So I love that. What's the final one? I'm all excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Stand in our power, sister.
Woo-hoo. Joy. It is so important that we as women, we are here to bring joy and light to the planet. It's what heals. And the way in which we are that is by allowing ourselves to be freely expressed. It's very important that we don't suffocate or dim ourselves down anymore out of fear of what others will think about us. What happens when we do that is we get convoluted. It's unnatural for us. The feminine way, women are of expression. We're of gifts. We're of dancing and singing and poetry. And, you ever see a woman? Exactly. Like when she's just in her body or in her joy, it's magnetic. It's mesmerizing. And it's just like, oh my God, the power it has over others, right? Like others just like melt in it.
Right.
And it's important that we come back home to that.
And I love that you bring the joy into that, because, a lot of times, I've actually had some feedback from people about, why are you using the word power? Like power can come across as being very masculine. And I said, no, it's like, yes, there's a masculine quality to it, but if we don't claim our feminine power, right? And it's like, it really is, we can be fierce and feminine and bring the feminine qualities into that power. It's something that you can uniquely own, and coming from that place of joy. That's the difference in how you express that power, is in that joyful way. That is what makes it unique, is that it's a joyful power. You know, it's standing in your boundaries, and there's all the different waves of that, but it's an important aspect that can sometimes be dismissive when, you know, considering that for women. But it's a very, you know, powerful place to come from, is to embrace all of that. So I love what you're doing and what you're bringing, and just the work that you're doing in the world is so needed.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. It you know, when I'm not in my work, and I take my time to replenish and restore, so I'm at my best for others, and it keeps calling me. Keeps calling me. It's not something I could run from. You know, I've tried to, you know.
I hear you. Yes, we're woven of the same cloth in that. You know, we're here to do bigger work, and it's how we're doing it. It's the difference of what we're doing and being in the world. So I think it's so huge. And I know that our listeners are going to want to stay connected with you. And I know you have a free gift, and if you could share how they can stay in connection with your wonderful work.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. I would love to stay connected with your peeps. I have 2 gifts that I'd love to offer. One is I have a 4-part video training series on the secrets to squashing self-doubt and igniting your confident queen self. And it's like mini mentoring with me. You know, you'll get videos every day. Some are 5 minutes, some are 20 minutes. So you want to carve a little time for yourself, get a notepad out. And I go deeper into the his story versus the her story, how it's kept us hidden from our power. I get deeper into giving you actual tangible takeaways where you can apply them in your life, like right away, and then come back to the next video where you can get immediate shifts right away. So that's a really, really fun and powerful, potent free gift that I'd love to offer your peeps.
And we'll have that in the show notes, so they'll be able to get the links for all of those.
And the other thing that I would love to offer is, you know, I have a Queen Initiation Immersion Retreat. Really brings you back home to your ways as a woman. It's unlike, I've had women that even have done women's work and they're like, I've never experienced anything like this. It reawakens you back home. And you will positively walk out a different woman than you were when you walked in. And for those that are interested in perhaps doing deeper work, you know, working with me privately or want to explore some more of my programs, I am happy to offer my Feminine Powerhouse Breakthrough Session. I'd offer it complimentary to your folks. And yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's my heart's joy. I can't do this alone. We've got to be making the women.
I love that. I love it. Well, we'll have all those links in there. And I want to thank you so much for your wisdom and your joy that you bring, and just so much beauty that you bring into the world, just in and out, and who you stand in. So thank you so much, sister.
Diane, thank you so much for having me. And I absolutely love you. I call you my Wonder Woman sister.
Definitely.
And I love that we stand together. You know, when women are together, we're magic amplified. So thank you for standing with me in this sacred mission.
My pleasure so much. Well, and I just want to thank our audience. Your time is such a precious resource, and we so appreciate you joining us here. And, you know, we're talking about community, you know, bringing women together, not doing this alone. So please, you know, whatever platform you're watching this on, you know, subscribe, share, get the word out. And what's your takeaway from this? You know, what's something that really resonated with you? I'd love for you to put that in the comments. And please, you know, tag, you know, both of us in there, that we've got, you know, myself and Amy, so that we can answer any questions that you have, that we can just be part of that conversation together. It's so important. And we're going to put the link so you can stay connected with both of us. We talked about awareness, so you can also grab in the links, myliferesetquiz.com. So that'll also give you some awareness on your path. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here with us. And until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now. See ya. Yay.